1 foot of cloth, still enough to stitch. 1 bushel of millet, still enough to grind. Yet 2 brothers cannot live in harmony. Here, the cloth and the millet symbolize very small quantities, items still usable despite their modest size. The proverb uses this image to highlight how even when grievances are minor, stubborn discord can make relationships irreparable. In other words, it criticizes the unwillingness of close kin, or friends, to reconcile over trivial matters. The strawberries between brothers. Late one spring morning in a small riverside village, 2 brothers, Marcus and Adrian, inherited a modest piece of farmland from their late father. The land was divided fairly. Marcus received the eastern field, where early sun warmed the soil, and Adrian took the western plot, shaded by a grove of olive trees. Both fields were small, yet together they could yield enough grain and olives to sustain a family and even sell a little at the market. At first, each brother was content to tend his own plot. Marcus sowed rows of wheat and barley. He rose at dawn to water the furrows and admired the pale green shoots pushing through the dark earth. Adrian pruned the gnarled olive branches and collected olives for pressing late into the afternoon. Their labors complemented each other, and the brothers enjoyed evenings by the hearth, sharing bread and oil, chatting about their hopes for the coming year. Then, one afternoon, Marcus noticed that a stray vine from Adrian's grove had crept into his field, its tendrils winding among his wheat stalks. He shrugged it off. After all, it was just a single vine, thin and delicate. But 2 mornings later, he saw a few fallen olives scattered near his furrows, and by the 3rd day, he found a handful of olives left over in a narrow stream that separated their lands. "Those olives are mine by right," Marcus muttered to himself. Brotherly courtesy should have stopped at the border. Adrian, for his part, observed that one of Marcus's wheat chaffs drifted into his olive grove on the breeze. He, too, let the incident become a slight against his honor. If he cannot even keep his grain in his own field, what respect can I expect? Adrian wondered. Soon the brothers began erecting a low fence along the stream. Marcus hammered strong posts into the ground. Adrian tied barbed wire between them. What begun as an effort to keep a single stray vine and a few olives from drifting over became a barrier that cast shadows on both fields. Neighbors whispered about the quarrel, lamenting how 2 hardworking men could allow such minor trespasses to sow discord. As summer ripened, the fence prevented more than wandering vines. It blocked the cool breeze that once swept through both plots, and it prevented the laughter and companionship that had once marked the brothers' evenings. Their work became burdensome. Marcus struggled under the fierce, midday heat with no respite under the olive trees, and Adrian's grove suffered from pests that had previously been controlled by the rotating fields of grain. One late afternoon, their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Harlow, came by to share tea. She carried a small basket of wild strawberries from the nearby woods. She set the basket in the space between the fences, on the only patch of shared ground, and said quietly, "These berries are few but sweet. I thought you both might enjoy them together." The brothers stared at the berries and then at each other. Neither moved to open the gate. That evening, Marcus sat alone by his hearth. He remembered how, not long ago, the 2 of them had stood here sharing stories of old, their shoulders almost touching as they talked under the lamplight. He realized that he had spent more energy on building a barrier than on tending the friendship of his only brother. At dawn, Marcus removed a stretch of wire and pushed aside a post. Adrian, who had slept in the cottage nearest the stream, opened his door to find Marcus on the path, holding out the basket of strawberries. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. Finally, Adrian nodded, stepped forward, and thanked Marcus softly. They carried the strawberries inside the old wooden fence posts, shared them with Mrs. Harlow, and spent the rest of the day repairing the land. Marcus helped Adrian prune the lower branches of the olive trees, clearing space for more sunshine. Adrian turned back the soil in Marcus's wheat field and scattered manure to enrich it. In that shared work, they rediscovered why they had once been not only brothers but friends. By harvest time, their fields produced more grain and olives than ever before. They sold the surplus in the market together and used the profits to build a simple barn where they stored their tools and gathered every evening for fresh bread and olive oil. The brothers often recalled the folly of the fence and the single vine, and they laughed at how such a small thing had threatened everything. A trivial grievance can grow into a great divide, but a single moment of kindness, like sharing a few strawberries, can heal what seemed irrevocably broken. Never let the smallest dispute overshadow the bond that matters most.